Welcome. We're diving into how to study when you don't feel like studying, with insights from the fantastic Neelam Talreja of Mindseed tutorials. You know that feeling, right? You're sitting there, the textbook is staring back at you, and you know you should be studying, but you just can't make yourself start. Well, if that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to break down some super practical strategies to get you over that hump for good. So here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 key parts. First up, we'll talk about how to break that initial inertia, just getting started. Then we'll dive into some cool tricks for hacking your brain's motivation. After that, we'll look at ways to freshen up your study methods so things don't get stale. And finally, we'll pull it all together by building a system that you can actually stick with. I mean, we've all been here. That moment you're just staring at a book, feeling completely and utterly stuck. It's such a common struggle for students. But here's the good news. There is a way out. And you know what? The problem isn't usually about being lazy or undisciplined. It's often just about how our brains are wired. And that brings us to something called the dopamine trap. So your brain is designed to chase feel-good chemicals, and dopamine is the big one. Easy tasks like scrolling through your phone give you a quick, instant hit of dopamine. Studying, on the other hand, well, the reward for that is way down the line. So your brain naturally picks the easy win every time. That's why just starting can feel like climbing a mountain. Okay, so how do we actually fight back against our own brain? Let's jump into our first section, breaking the initial inertia. Think of these as little tricks to just get the engine started when you feel like you're stuck in neutral. The very first tool in your arsenal should be the 5-minute rule. And honestly, this thing is way more powerful than it sounds. Why? Because we all know the absolute hardest part of doing anything is just getting started. So the goal here isn't to conquer a whole chapter. It's just to study for 5 minutes. That's it. Here's exactly how you do it. You set a timer for 5 minutes. You tell yourself, all I have to do is read one single page, or I'm just going to solve one problem. Then you start. What you'll find almost every time is that after those 5 minutes are up, that mental resistance, that friction, it just kind of melts away. And it's suddenly so much easier to just keep going. But okay, what if you're so overwhelmed you don't even know which page to start with? That's a huge roadblock for a lot of us. For that, you can try something called the retrospective approach. Basically, you flip the whole process on its head. Instead of starting by reading the chapter, go straight to the practice questions at the end. Yeah, even if you know nothing. Trying to solve them immediately shows you what you don't know, and that creates this little spark of curiosity and purpose, which naturally motivates you to go find the answers. All right, so now that we have a few ways to get the ball rolling, let's move on to section 2, hacking your brain's motivation. This is all about using a little psychology to work with your brain instead of against it. Now, this one might sound a little aggressive, but trust me, challenging your brain really works. When your brain whines, ugh, I don't wanna, you challenge it right back. You frame it as a little test of your own willpower. A lot of the time, your brain will take the bait just to prove it can do it, and before you know it, you're studying. Sometimes, though, that internal challenge just isn't enough. We need a little bit of outside pressure to really stay on track, right? And that's where public accountability is a game changer. Tell someone you respect, a friend, a parent, anyone, that you are going to study for a specific, and I mean realistic, amount of time. Just saying it out loud creates this sort of social contract. You don't want to let them down, and you definitely don't want to let yourself down. It can be a huge motivator. Another really powerful psychological trick is a simple countdown. Keep a tally of the days left until your exam. Somewhere you'll see it every single day, on your desk, a whiteboard, whatever. Watching that number shrink day by day creates this natural sense of urgency that makes it so much harder to put things off. Okay, let's head into section 3, refresh your study methods. Because let's be real, if you're bored out of your mind doing the same thing over and over, you're not going to be motivated. Monotony is the absolute enemy here. So let's talk about music. The right soundtrack can be a total game changer, but you gotta match it to the task. For deep focus stuff like reading, you want instrumental music, something without lyrics so your brain isn't trying to multitask. But for more hands-on things like solving math or physics problems, something upbeat and high energy can actually boost your momentum and keep you in the zone. Next up, you've got to find your own personal golden hours. Are you an early bird or a night owl? Lean into whatever works for you. And remember, this can totally change. You might find mornings are great one month, but then evenings work better the next. Pay attention to your body's rhythm and don't be afraid to adjust your schedule. And hey, if you just hit a wall and feel completely overwhelmed, the most productive thing you can do is stop. I'm serious. Forcing yourself through burnout just doesn't work. Step away. Go for a walk, listen to some music, do anything else. Then, when you come back, switch things up. If you are reading, maybe try finding a video lecture on the topic instead. And that brings us to our final, and maybe most important section, building a sustainable system. Because here's the secret. Motivation is flaky. It comes and goes. A solid system, though, that's what carries you through on the days you're just not feeling it. The heart of any good system is a realistic timetable. The trick is to plan just 1 week at a time so you don't get overwhelmed. Build it around your best energy hours. And this part is absolutely crucial. Schedule your breaks just like you schedule your study sessions. The whole point is to remove the guesswork so you can just wake up and know exactly what you need to do. And a huge part of building a system is controlling your environment. For most of us, that means a social media detox. Remember that dopamine trap we talked about at the beginning? Social media is literally designed to feed that trap with constant, easy rewards. It's almost impossible for your brain to choose studying when a world of instant gratification is just a click away. Get rid of the temptation, even for a little while. So, let's wrap up with this thought. Motivation isn't some magical thing you have to wait around to find. It's something you create, one small action at a time. Using the 5-minute rule, telling a friend your plan, making that timetable, those are the actions that build motivation from the ground up. So the only question left is, what's the first step you're going to take? Thanks so much for tuning in. For personalized guidance and expert help building your own sustainable study system, don't hesitate to reach out to Neelam Talreja at Mindseed Tutorials today.